Hey there guys, how you doing? I'm Yalik. I'm going to do a Fat Fingers video. Fat Fingers is a 5-man task force. I know most of you guys who see this are going to know already, but 5-man task force, competitive on the leaderboard, currently sitting at 25, but we're near the end of our op. We've got a couple hours left, which means we'll probably jump up to this territory again when we finish the op, because we've had a good day. 952 force points. Let's see, we had the big base here was Rogue. I think I took a look at this. I must have when I did notes. Not a bad Rogue. In other circumstances, probably would have attempted it, but yeah, that was not the plan for today. So today we took our 952 force points and we got 5 solos. So we're going to go through a couple of these because that's always a time to celebrate. However, some of these, I mean, like I got dredge. I didn't even have to full boost because it's dredge. So some of these are less interesting, so I'm not going to feel obligated to show hits from today. For example, Sven took down the 262 base this op. It was a conofold, but honestly, it's one of the friendliest conofolds you'll ever see in a situation like this. Just 2 shocks here and back here, and the health wasn't too bad either, so obviously he was going to crush that, and he did. So we'll pick another hit for him. And then I also want to go back through a couple of our recent ops, and the reason I'm doing this video today, on top of the 5 blue lines, is also that we've had some interesting hits over the past week. We've had a pretty solid week going back to this day, which was the 643. 5 days ago, you can see that over here. That was a terrible roll. I rolled that operation, and the 3 biggest bases were all shield bases, and they were not friendly. It was not a good day. Since then, we've had some pretty decent rolls, and we've also made made the best of some things. So looking at hits from today's op, so we're skipping Sven on conofold because you've seen that conofold. So I figured I would go back. Let's see, that was yesterday. He had Axiom. All right, here we go. The 976 force points here. 2 days ago. Sven on Titan. Titan is his favorite hit. This is the 262. So, and he's very, very good at this hit. So I figured we might as well show that. Blaster near the core, that's bad. Blasters are very bad for bullet and can be very bad for your taunt ability. Health, 1.7 plus million. Not the biggest ever, but still, like, well, anyway, observe. So, I'm going to speed the walk up a little bit here. I'm starting to like this hit myself. I've seen him do it so many times that it's not the hardest walk in the world, so I'm starting to get pretty comfortable with that. One nice thing about this is that this version of Titan is that these rocket launchers here are very, very easy shocks. So, Flare's core, 4 shocks. Probably should have slowed down before that. So, it's going to need a little bit more time here. First round of shocks is over. And just enough. Because at that point, you're not going to have, after a long walk like that, and 4 shocks here, you're not going to have GBE for another round of shocks on things. So, just enough time there. And look at it, looks like he only has a few girls left. But we'll go back and look at the totals for this hit. Let's see, close you. So that was about 80 Zugas, because he lost 25 and 100 out of 112. So that was close to 80 Zugas standing there, which is, it's an amazing hit. It really is a lot of fun. It's a heck of a solo, Titan. Good base. Back to today. DCB on Orbifold. Hang on. I want to show that. Strange attractors. Attractors again. And looks like we'll go with the Orbifold for today. I had recommended this was a very easy op roll. I think I also rolled this one, which makes up for the crap that I rolled the other day. This is a very easy op roll, and I had suggested trying this base with bullet shock knuckles, just for fun. Health here is not particularly high. That's under 1.4 million. So if you stood down here at 6, well, let him walk up. He's clearing his mind. He's going to park a little bit to the right of that. But if you stood down there at 6 and used shock knuckles, you should be able to shock just 3 things. I'd shock these guys over here, I'd shock this, and I'd shock those. And all of this stuff should shoot bullet and standing out front of your Zookas, right? I thought that would have been fun to see, but he decided he was going to make sure he killed the base, which is probably a good move, not playing around, but I don't know. I like to do weird stuff sometimes. So let's see. 4 shocks and some critters. Oh, so he's just trying to stay as far away from those rockets as possible over there, which is why he parked over there at 7. And killed that very easily. That's a lot of Zookas. Now see, that's a lot of Zookas, but you can see all the Zookas. I was always amazed when they wrap something like they did in that Titan hit, and they pack in very, very tightly. It's amazing how tightly they can group when they want to, but they don't always do that. We are definitely going to show this hit. This is Franchise on Manticore from today. I think this is the last one we're going to see from today. This was a very well done Manticore. A pretty friendly Manticore here. Let's see. 0.4, yeah, we're a little over 1.4 million, and not a lot of rocket launchers. Was that 4 instead of an entire ring of rocket launchers here? And since the health is relatively low, he takes advantage of the GBE that is to be had over here, using bombardiers. So we'll zip through that, because I've got a couple extra hits to show you today also. Getting back to the comment about making the best of some things. And then I've got one just for fun hit. Now, he's gapping here on purpose. Now, I agree with that gap. That's great. He's trying to stretch out smokes and save GBE for later. He gaps again a little bit here, and this one I would not have done. Just because you never ever want to lose delay back here on this hit. He obviously knows what he's doing. He's going to one smoke his kill zone. I mean, very, very good control over his troops. And the gaps were on purpose, but you know, you are living a little dangerously when you do that. So, a couple of critters out. Just 3 shocks on this one also, which is another bonus with this Manticore. And, you know, just absolutely crushes that. I didn't see what the casualties on this hit were, but there, again, we have a lot of Zookas left alive, and a bunch of GBE left over, because he's throwing medkits all over the place. Celebratory GBE wastage. So, I think that's the last one from today. And we owe Argus, no, I take it back, actually. I was going to use this one as an example. Argus is no name, and Argus has just the 119 here. Strange attractors, not going to be very high health for things at all. However, I thought this was an example of a pretty good hit. You'll notice he has marked a bunch of things up here, things that he wants to die, because this is a pretty nice version of attractors. Usually there'd be a shock launcher here, sometimes a rocket launcher. Having a machine gun there is a bonus. This mortar is not going to range things. He does want this sniper to die, apparently, and because he tagged it as well as the machine gun. And he definitely wants this machine gun to die, these 2. So he's tagged a couple things, which is smart, making sure that his Zookas will focus on the right things when they come out of smoke up here. And from here, it's a pretty straightforward hit. Just got to watch out for lasers. Lasers are not our friends. I think he went with 4 shocks. Be on the safe side. Shock everything. He didn't need to shock over here. But so he kills the things that he needs to kill over here. Machine guns are dead, and reshocks the lasers and runs away, which is what you want here. His troops started to spread down, and I got really nervous. Like, really, really nervous here because of the laser beams. He was actually pretty close, or he was pretty safe as far as the lasers went, but the mortar would have been a problem for him there. So he repositions a little bit. He's going to lose a few Zookas to that grappler back there, but obviously nothing major because there again we have a whole lot of Zookas. So that's most of today's stuff, and today was a pretty good day. I wanted to go back to yesterday because I wanted to show these two hits on Boomtown. I did the open on Boomtown, so we got it down in 2. Obviously, if we were attacking Boomtown, our choices were limited. We didn't have 5 solos available, so we had to pick one of the shield bases as being possible for 2 hits. Boomtown must have been the 262. Yeah, it was the 262. So I did the open. This was a little bit weird, Boomtown, and we were talking about, well, Boomtown can vary greatly anyway, but Hot Beach over here, and we were talking about possibly bringing, the second hit, bringing bombers up here and trying to clear. So, first hit, really important. Got to get the shields down over there, of course. And we need to get up here to do, well, clear as much stuff as possible. Ideally, I would be able to clear these 3 rocket launchers. And there's a Semo on the path. Not too big a deal with this hit because you're usually using a bullet. However, it's there, so noted. So I wanted to clear this side of the beach because, again, if we're talking about bringing bombers all the way up here, got to clear a bunch of mines. If you have to smoke the entire way, bombers also cost a little bit of GBE to deploy. I was really skeptical about that second hit being feasible in terms of the GBE costs. So I decided to stop here and clear the beach using bombers. Picked up a little extra GBE. Probably should have stayed for more, but we'll come back to that in a second. So I used a smoke and a flare and a shock down there. Now I was thinking GBE is normally not an issue with this hit because you're going to get some over here. You're going to get a bunch more up in that corner after you have cleared the shield gens. There's more GBE up to be had up here to do the finishing part of the hit. I was thinking to myself that it should be, you know, fairly okay. Bullet ends up going a really weird direction here. I lost some Zookas. That was not thrilling. Lost some Zookas to a machine gun over here, which did not remain taunted. So, probably the way I positioned them before they came out of smoke. But so, first thing that's really gone wrong is there. Now, I'm really low on GBE. I'm going to do this next bit. There's usually a 2 flare system. You flare to this corner, you're going to let your troops clear a little bit, you flare back to this corner, and then you flare all the way up to this corner. I skipped that and just flared over to this corner because GBE was very tight. Now, smokes were starting to get really expensive here. I think those last 2 cost me 15 and 16 GBE a piece. And I knew here I just didn't have the GBE. It was not good. There really wasn't a whole lot to do to save it. Couldn't even get in a taunt. Not ideal. This machine gun eased me alive. And so I was pretty upset about this hit. Honestly, I had said in our chat after this hit, I'm usually pretty good at this open, but after this hit, I didn't think that we were going to be able to beat this base. And the running out of GBE there was the cost of this stuff that I did down here. Here, clearing some mines just in case somebody still wants to try that direction, but you really wouldn't want to do that with the rocket launchers. So, I mean, at this point, I'm thinking this base is lost. I used 1 extra smoke here, and that made for really expensive smokes here, and 1 extra shock here, and then I didn't have a shock here where I would have wanted one. So, factoring those things in, you know, I took a pretty standard hit and I tried to deviate from it just a little bit, and it didn't work because the standard hit has been proven and calculated to work over the years by a lot of players. So, little tweaks, and it cost me. However, Franchise came in, and he dealt, I mean, he found a way. He found a way. I wasn't really seeing it here. He's going to clear a few mines. He's going to grab a little GBE on the beach. He's trying to avoid the left side of the core because of this Semo. That was also part of my thinking, that getting bombers back here is going to be an issue because of the Semo. And blah, blah, blah. However, he does a really beautiful hit here to save this and kill the base. So, smoking as late as possible. Nice little walk here with his bombardiers, and putting himself in a really great spot where he needs very few shocks to get himself established there. So he's got a couple shocks going, and his troops, one thing that's great about bombardiers, they spread like crazy, but they do prioritize the defenses, so they kill everything in the vicinity pretty quickly. At this point, he probably could have come over to this corner had he wanted to and cleared these shield generators a little bit more, but I think he just clears through. Yeah, he's just going to shred the shield itself, and either way works at this point. It was more the difficulty was getting there. These chucking critters over here, they're not going to be able to do much on those shield generators, to be honest. Maybe they take one down though, and actually, it looks like there might be two. They're pretty... no. No, I take that back. You see the purple bars there? The critters are not doing anywhere near the damage that you're going to need to take out those generators, because they are going to be very, very high health. I don't remember what it happened to be. So anyway, he gets everything cleared, or pretty much everything. His boom cannon just picked off one bombardier. And just free snipes the core, and had enough time and damage to be able to do that. Critters still working furiously over here, still have gotten almost nothing achieved. One of those shield generators is starting to go, and the other two are, yeah, they're still pretty healthy over there. Doesn't matter, because the bombardiers are doing their work, and he's about to smash through this, and that is what I'm going to call making the best of things. That could have been, I mean, that saved us. That hit salvaged a whole bunch of points, and that is what we need, because it's all about those points. Now, there is one last hit that I'm going to show here, and it's one of mine. I'm showing it more for comedy value than for anything else. I'm not going to say it was the best hit ever, but it was fun to do. It was pretty crazy. That's not just my word for it. You can ask a couple of the guys who were watching live as I did this. I enjoy. So I've cleared some mines. We've got a weird ransom here. I forget what the health is. Not too high, so like 1.4 million. Did not two-smoke the beach. Probably should have tried to do that, but with the blaster there, didn't want to mess with it. So I went with 3 smokes. This is that thing again where the smokes get expensive after a while. Plus we have a Semo on the walk. And you can't use bullet, or at least, sorry, back to, you can't use bullet in the usual way for this hit, because there's nothing up here to flare. There are no defenses. Usually there are a couple of defenses, usually machine guns up here above the core, and they're not there. So I thought about trying to do some sort of a bullet shock thingy. You shock bullet at 9 and let the Zookas continue up to here. But I figured, you know, so what? There's a Semo on the path. I'm not going to freak out about it. We'll just shock it on the way by. So there we have shocked the Semo before Brick could, you know, get into its range, and let the Zookas catch up, and we'll flare up to the kill zone and shock the Semo one more time. Now, the reason I did that the second time, Semo might not have selected Brick here if she had not taken damage. But Brick had cleared a couple of mines for me here. I could have cleared them using GBE, but I didn't want to do that, because you can clear them using Brick, but now Brick has taken damage. What that means is Semo would pick her out of the crowd. You've got 112 Zookas, is that what it is? But none of them have any damage, and Brick has a little damage. So the Semo would have picked her out of the crowd. The Semo tends to find Brick anyway, first of all. But that little amount of damage that she's taken from those mines would have cost me the hero. So I get to about this point, these last two smokes and look down to see what I've got for GBE left, and I've got nothing. I had minimal. I probably, considering after, it was like 6 GBE to flare core, and then I had to activate battle order, so that's another 6. And I had like 20, 24, a very, very low amount of GBE here. So shocks are just out of the question. I should have 2 of them, ideally, one for you, and then one for you, and I have nothing. And I can't just leave one unshocked. So I had to come up with a plan B, and plan B was we're just going to throw critters and prey. And luckily, like I said, the health on this was not especially high, but shocking that Semo 2 times. Look at this. There were a few girls left after the core popped, but the shock launcher took care of them, and then there were no girls left. So I survived this ransom, took it down with no shocks at all, other than, you know, the 2 that I used on the Semo down here, and that's partly my fault. Like I said, I used an extra smoke on the shore. I felt like I had to shock the Semo twice. Not ideal when you're sitting in about this position here, and you need 2 shocks, and you have GBE for no shocks. Not a really fun feeling, but I will say that's about the fastest that I have thought in a very, very, very long time. Did think about it after and thought I probably should not have flared the core. A few of the Zookas would have focused on these things here. Sniper towers. They were sniper towers. A few of the Zookas would have focused on that, but most of the Zookas would have just focused on the core by virtue of the fact that there's very little standing around me. If I had saved that one flare, probably would have had the GBE for a shock and those critters here, and that might have been a little bit prettier a victory. You know, I might have had a Zooka left standing. But anyway, that was a lot of fun to do. That was a wild hit, and the guys who were watching appreciated it also, because, you know, I do weird shit, so why not, right? Anyway, we're starting to get a little bit long on the time here, so I'm gonna call it a day. But yeah, we've just actually been rolling along, and like I said, we should be back up into about this territory, I want to say, when we collect the points for this operation, which is still an hour and 13 minutes away. And, you know, when we have another good day, I'll fill you guys in again. In the meantime, like the video, thumbs up, drop a comment, say hi, and I'll catch you later. Take care.